Is Japan facing its biggest security test yet as China prepares for a possible Pacific military showdown? Japan's aging fighter fleet and shrinking missile reserves raise concerns over Beijing's rapidly expanding military power. Tokyo's air capabilities appear increasingly strained as older F-15JS and F-2 fighters struggle to match China's modernization drive. Delays in F-35 upgrades fuel anxiety in Tokyo as China accelerates military gains across the Indo-Pacific region. The US reportedly pulls Tomahawk missiles from Japan, while key air defense support for Tokyo remains limited. Questions grow over whether Washington's shifting Pacific posture is driven by Iran war pressures or rising fears of China. Japan has warned that its aging fighter jet fleet is increasingly struggling to keep pace with the rapidly advancing air capabilities of China and Russia. Japan's Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi warned of serious security pressures developing around the northern island of Hokkaido. Koizumi said growing military coordination between Russia and China has become one of Tokyo's primary defense concerns in the region. The remarks came during the minister's May 23 visit to Chitose Air Base. Chitose Air Base is considered one of Japan's key frontline hubs for responding to Russian military activity near northern Japanese territory. The warning also came as Washington remains heavily focused on tensions involving Iran and the Strait of Hormuz crisis. Japanese fighter aircraft have reportedly been scrambled multiple times this year in response to approaching Russian military aircraft. Tokyo said Russian bomber patrols and military flights near Japanese territory have become more frequent and operationally complex. Tupolev Tu-95 MS bombers have repeatedly approached Japan's air defense identification zone in recent months. Russian Sukhoi Su-35 and Mikoyan MiG-31BM fighters have also reportedly been operating close to Japanese airspace. Moscow has recently deployed new Sukhoi Su-57 stealth fighters near Japan's northern approaches. At least 15 Su-57 aircraft were reportedly spotted at Gyeonggi Air Base in Russia's Far East region. Analysts say the deployment could directly challenge both Japanese and US air power operating in the Western Pacific. Tokyo is also becoming increasingly concerned about the rapid modernization of China's air force capabilities. Reports claimed Japanese military leaders were deeply alarmed following encounters with Chinese aircraft during 2025. According to reports, Chinese Shenyang J-15B fighters outperformed Japanese Mitsubishi F-15J jets during several aerial encounters. The incidents were reportedly described by analysts as a sobering awakening for Japan's air combat planners. Analysts also stated that the J-15B appeared to possess more advanced sensors and avionics than Japanese planners had previously assumed. Japan's fighter fleet still relies heavily on F-15J aircraft first introduced during the early 1980s. The smaller Mitsubishi F-2 fleet is more modern, but is limited by shorter operational range and lower payload capacity. Only a limited number of Japan's Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II fighters are currently considered capable of matching advanced Chinese and Russian aircraft. Delays affecting the F-35 Block 4 upgrade program are also creating uncertainty for Japan's future air combat planning. Tokyo is additionally facing growing uncertainty surrounding the Global Combat Air Program, or GCAP, sixth-generation fighter project. Analysts warn Japan may eventually be forced to expand its F-35 purchases as regional security pressures continue to intensify. China is also expected to field sixth-generation fighter aircraft years before Japan completes its own next-generation program. The shifting balance of regional air power is increasing concerns that Japan could gradually lose its long-held technological edge in East Asia. After expending thousands of missiles in the Middle East, the United States is now facing growing pressure in Asia, where allies worry that stocks are too low to deter China effectively. Washington has indefinitely suspended Japan's first batch of 400 RGM-109 Tomahawk cruise missiles, putting a key pillar of Tokyo's new long-range strike posture on hold. The pause follows serious shortages created by a 39-day U.S. assault on Iran, which drained Navy stocks of Tomahawks and other high-end munitions faster than planners expected. According to reporting, senior U.S. officials informed Japanese counterpart Shinjiro Koizumi in May that the Tomahawk delivery would be delayed, citing the need to refill American magazines first. Defense expert Zach Cooper argues the Pentagon is now giving precedence to the Middle East over Asia, redirecting scarce weapons toward the Iran theater ahead of Indo-Pacific commitments. He warns that U.S. allies in Asia will feel the impact of the Iran war long after the shooting stops, as delayed deliveries and thin stocks undermine their confidence in American backing. By late March, the U.S. Navy had reportedly fired around 1,000 Tomahawk cruise missiles at targets inside Iran, an extraordinary rate of expenditure for such expensive weapons. Those salvos came out of a total Tomahawk inventory estimated at only 3,000 to 4,500 rounds, meaning a large chunk of the stockpile was burned in a matter of weeks. Officials have told reporters they were alarmed by how quickly long-range munitions disappeared from the inventory, raising red flags inside the Pentagon about future contingencies. Analysts estimate that more than 6,000 Iranian targets were hit in just 10 days, many with precision weapons that cost millions of dollars per shot. Even with production ramp-up plans, some assessments say rebuilding missile stocks to pre-war levels could take several years, leaving a medium-term gap in U.S. strike capacity. Tomahawk cruise missiles were severely depleted, cutting into the Navy's ability to launch large conventional strike packages at short notice. Patriot interceptor inventories were heavily strained, as batteries worked overtime to defend bases and ships against Iranian missiles and drones. Stocks of THAAD interceptors were redirected to the Middle East, limiting how many could be deployed in Asia and elsewhere. SM-3 and SM-6 interceptor reserves were reduced, affecting the missile defense envelope provided by Aegis-equipped warships. Precision strike missiles are reported to have been consumed rapidly, thinning out cutting-edge Army long-range fire options. GBU-57 bunker-buster bomb stocks also came under pressure, as planners considered and in some cases, executed deep penetration strikes. The suspension comes just as Japan has modified some of its destroyers to fire Tomahawk missiles, a centerpiece of its new long-range strike strategy. Crews on ships such as JS Chokai have reportedly completed Tomahawk training earlier this year, only to see the actual missile deliveries pushed back. Since the late 2010s, Tokyo has rapidly shifted its doctrine toward long-range strike, arguing it needs the ability to hit launch sites that threaten Japanese territory. That offensive turn continues to spark domestic debate, as Japan tries to square its post-war pacifist constitution with a much more muscular regional posture. Reports indicate Tokyo was already facing delays worth billions of dollars in U.S. military deliveries even before the Iran war further stressed the system. Japan is far from alone. Shortages and delays triggered by the Iran campaign have reportedly affected multiple U.S. partners, from Taiwan to South Korea and Ukraine. In Japan's case, roughly $6.9 billion worth of U.S. weapons ordered over the last 5 years are still not delivered, slowing Tokyo's push to modernize its forces. For Taiwan, Washington has paused delivery of a $14 billion equipment package, freezing a big chunk of the island's planned upgrades just as tensions with China climb. On top of that pause, Taiwan's overall backlog of undelivered U.S. arms has grown past $21 billion by 2025, raising questions about how quickly it can actually rearm. In South Korea, some THAAD missile defense units have been withdrawn or marked for redeployment, trimming the high-altitude shield that guards key sites. Patriot batteries have also been shifted toward the Middle East, meaning fewer advanced air defense systems remain in country to counter North Korean and regional threats. Ukraine has felt the ripple effects too, with some weapons originally earmarked for Kiev reportedly redirected to the Iran front, tightening the flow of supplies to the Eastern War. These delays are unfolding just as tensions in the Indo-Pacific rise, with China warning the U.S. against further arms deployments and drills its coastline. China has strongly opposed reported U.S. plans to deploy mid-range missile systems in Asia amid rising tensions in the Indo-Pacific. Beijing warned the move could destabilize the region and increase the risk of military confrontation, according to Reuters. China's foreign ministry also accused Washington of escalating military tensions close to Chinese territory as friction continues to grow over Taiwan and regional security. Question from Global Times. It's reported that the U.S. military is set to deploy its Typhoon mid-range capability missile system in Japan's Kanoya Air Base in Kagoshima Prefecture during the U.S.-Japan military exercises scheduled between June and September. After the exercises conclude, the system will be transferred to a U.S. military base in Japan. Can I have your comment on this? We noted the reports. China opposes the U.S. deployment of mid-range capability missile systems in Asian countries, and has expressed concerns over this on multiple occasions. The deployment of Typhoon, a strategic offensive weapon, will harm the legitimate security interests of other countries, threaten regional strategic security, and push up the risk of military confrontation and arms race. It will bring nothing but harm to peace and stability in the region. Over the years, people from multiple Asian countries, including Japan, have voiced their opposition to the deployment. China urges the US and Japan to listen to the calls of regional countries, correct the erroneous practice, and play a positive role with concrete actions for regional peace and stability. This move is yet another example of Japan's accelerated remilitarization. Various signs show that Japanese right-wing forces are seeking to have an overall restructuring of Japan's military capabilities and preparing for a so-called extended conflict. This essentially will hollow out Japan's constitution and the rules of international and domestic laws, and challenge the post-war international order, which is inconsistent with Japan's self-claimed image as a country for peace. The malevolent emergence of Japanese neo-militarism may once again become a source of regional turbulence. The international community must keep in mind the lessons from history, stay on high alert, and jointly restrain this dangerous momentum. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiaquan urged the United States and Japan to rectify their wrongdoings and avoid provoking confrontation in the region.